So I consider myself kind of a futurist. I like to look forward at things. So I started developing in that space. And I developed a product called Legacy Space. And it was a virtual world of your legacy. And it was a place where I was hoping my kids can come and see dad after dad. Well, I don't even know if we're going to pass in the future because there's so much digitization of us happening that the idea of passing on in the future is an interesting discussion, frankly. But the point is, I was working on Legacy Space, John, and it was, I guess, around this time last year, or early, maybe last April or so, where I realized that I had bitten off more than I can chew. I was trying to climb Mount Everest when I needed to maybe just think about climbing Mount Pico or Mount Kilimanjaro at the time. So I made a pivot. I made an entrepreneurial pivot. I woke up and I'm like, this isn't working. Right. Looking ahead of me going, I'm not confident in the direction where I'm taking this thing right now.
Right.
So I made the decision to make a pivot. And I pivoted towards something that has been part of me for many years. It was part of me as I built ICUC, and it's part of me since I guess, found myself in life, which was this whole idea of a business athlete. Somebody that takes care of themselves in the gym first. I know we share that commonality. Somebody that looks in their mirror, takes care of their emotional self, physical self, mental self.
Right.
Takes care of that first. Because without that's the foundation. Nothing else matters. I saw a clip with Schwarzenegger last week where people were like, you still work out? And he's like, well, yeah, I still breathe. I still go to bed. I'm like, what do you mean you still breathe? He goes, well, breathing, training, sleeping, that's just part of what I do as a human. Well, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Right. So the business athlete mindset was something that I was really passionate about. So, John, I launched the Business Athlete Performance Lab, and I cast it as a wide net, not truly fully knowing what it really was, but it was concepts, it was ideas, it was something to talk about. At the time, fellow I was working with said, Keith, you got to start a podcast. And John, I was struggling, man. Struggled with imposter syndrome, struggled with insecurities. I wasn't the confident soul that I'm speaking to you right now in the camera, looking you in the eyes.
Right.
I was struggling with much of what was going on around me. Because I was still yesterday, right? I was still ICUC guy. Still all of that. Right?
Not
so at all.
Yeah.
So it was suggested that I start a podcast. And I didn't want to do a podcast. I wanted to do something more substantial than that. So I decided to start this daily show, which we did together, which was Live in the Lab with Keith Bilous. Yeah. And it's I did a daily show. I do it 1:00 Eastern time. Do it 7 days a week. Why? To hold myself accountable.
Yeah.
I said to myself, well, I'm alive every single day at 1 Eastern time anyways. So why not have a structured meeting? I'll record it. I'll work on gaining my confidence back, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I showed up one Monday and started my show. And whatever it is, 700 videos later, hundreds of guests later, I've been doing my show every day since. And it was probably 3 months ago, maybe not even, where I finally was able to shed, maybe yesterday, and finally be able to be confident with what I am and who I am and what I'm building now. And I'm building the world's biggest talk show on LinkedIn and YouTube. I'm building a conversational platform using social media platform tomorrow. I'm taking what I learned with my business of yesterday and I'm modernizing it for the business of tomorrow. John, media is not dead.
No.
What's dead is the infrastructure that creates it. You don't need a office tower in New York City with a big transmitter and millions of dollars in rent and millions of dollars of everything else to put on a 4-hour, 3-hour, 2-hour morning show.